Hello. This is Brian Lawrence with Clazar. I'm here with Ayush, our co-founder and CTO. Trunal, our other co-founder and CEO, is not with us, so it's just me and Ayush running wild, cutting loose, talking about cloud marketplaces. And Ayush, the first question I have for you is thinking about getting listed on the cloud marketplaces. What's the starting point? Are there prereqs that a potential seller should be thinking about before going live on these cloud marketplaces?
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Really great question. So from a software seller perspective, I think there are really two kind of things they need to figure out as they're thinking about going. One is the business side of it. We all know the cloud budgets and the cloud commits companies have are huge. There are more than 200 billion of cloud commits that are now getting used to purchase and procure software. And a lot of enterprise buyer and market buyers are procuring through marketplaces. So that's part of their GTM strategy to say, okay, I want to actually tap into my channel and increase my revenue. But the second part is now more the technical part of things where you need to start figuring out, okay, how do I integrate my product into the marketplace? I need to start reading documentation if you want to go on AWS Marketplace, Azure Marketplace, GCP Marketplace. And their documentation are very comprehensive, right? They're like amazing platforms and very in-depth documentation. I think I have a printed version of AWS 400-page seller documentation. So it's
Wait,
pretty
how long is it? How many pages?
it's 486 page. So
486 pages of seller documentation. And you printed
and
that out, killed a lot of trees.
yeah, I spent 3 months reading it. I have like another one with the Azure. And there are a lot of pieces there that I think you need to start understanding and making sure your product is correctly integrated, be it pricing, be it metering, be it the usage, analytics, and just like start building that out as you put your like engineers to start doing the integration.
And there's another question I got to ask you. I've got the headphones, but I want to make sure I heard it correctly. How much is committed to this cloud spend? Did you say $200 billion?
That is correct. Yeah, there is $200 billion of cloud commit across these three cloud providers that now people can use percentage of that to procure software, and that is just really unlock from like buyer perspective as well to use these cloud commits and their cloud money to buy third party software.
Wow.
I was amazed when I first saw that number as well.
I'm not sure which is more shocking, the 486 pages or the $200 billion, but they're both big numbers.
They are.
Let's talk a bit about the details one should consider while listing. There's banking and tax forms and things like that. What are the things that sellers need to think about?
So when building their listing, um, there are kind of few pieces that they will start. The sellers will need to start digging into. The first is obviously you want to set up your bank account properly so that you start getting money when your product gets sold through the marketplace. Your tax setup so that the taxes and everything is correctly configured. You want to create a public profile. So each of these marketplaces have like a partner portal, um, and then in that process you create so that the buyers know, hey, who is this seller? So you create your public profile, you complete the KYC, bank verification, and do some logistics kind of things. Then you make sure your product is prepared. So obviously you need to like see how your product is going to map to the product, the structure, the pricing structure, legal, everything in these marketplaces. And each one of them is unique. There are like a lot of similarities, but then a lot of differences, like just enough differences to annoy you. So you need to understand all that. Then you start doing that. You submit your product, um, do the technical integration piece of things, and then start marketing and building your kind of motion on these marketplaces. So that's sort of some of the things when you consider listing. Those are like setting up your account in a proper way, preparing your product, doing the technical integration, completing the listing, and then starting the motion of selling there.
Ayush, you talked a little bit about pricing. How do I map my company's pricing model to the cloud marketplace's pricing model? How do I sync those two things up?
Great question, Brian. And we get this question a lot of times that, hey, I have this pricing. What does it look like? And if you think about like SaaS or like the pricing nowadays, there are like five or six different models that company use. There are things like freemium, free trials. There is contract with usage, subscriptions, uh, and then there are different tiers and plans that different companies have, and sometimes those tiers are merged with the usage within those tiers. So what as like a software seller you have to figure out is that, hey, okay, this is my pricing, and each marketplace offers different building blocks, um, and they are sometimes very generic, sometimes there are limitations. So now what you need to start doing is that understand, okay, how does, let's say, Azure build their pricing, like what structure do they support. And we have seen a lot of time sellers like trying to understand that, okay, what does work, can I change it in the future, what if some of my customers are already using one pricing, how will it change. um, and so that's kind of the thing you are the things you have to consider. You will consider if I should offer free trial, or should I do free trial using $0 private offers. Do I need to build in usage upfront? There are things like, you if you create a contract listing later on, you can't add usage to it. So some of those things you have to start considering as you build your like the pricing model on these cloud marketplaces.
And do you see companies do a combination of these different models, or do they just pick one and stick with it?
We have seen wide variety, and a lot of time depend on company to company. So there are some company who want to sell just purely usage. So they will do like, okay, $0 free trial motion, and then charge everything on usage. Then there are other company who would have no usage component, but there's a fixed price. They will do everything through private offer, um, and they will do like few private offers every day, but it's a fixed contract. So it's like a 15K contract for a yearly subscription. There are companies who does both. So they will say that, okay, you charge upfront this much, and then I will charge you on the usage of the product. So we've seen like wide variety of pricing use cases, and then how they are mapped. And it's also interesting, the mapping them is also, you can map in different ways. So that also kind of adds on to really thinking about the right way to set it up for longer term success of your GTM motion.
There are companies out there that have listed on Marketplace and they're not seeing a lot of success. None of them are customers of Clazar, of course, but there are those companies out there. Would you think, is that a good time to evaluate pricing and the pricing model and take a fresh look at that?
Yeah, that's a great question, Brian. So what we generally, when we talk to people, either like on Clazar, not on Clazar, the very key important things are around like if you are bought in to do transactions and fulfill things through cloud marketplaces, because generating demand and things, it's a motion, right? It's like marketing, as you say, like you won't put up your website and say my marketing is working. So it's a motion. We have seen though in some companies they have like tweaked the pricing, and and some of the marketplaces are really trying to enable the free trial in a very seamless way.
Mm-hmm.
We have seen company leveraging those and asking for like, hey, I want to do free trial and POCs. Because if you think about really about how the software is getting sold nowadays, people want to try it out. I don't want to buy like a 10K or 100K contract and I have no idea what it is. So people want to use it, and when they see, oh, this is really valuable, and then you pay for it, and then based on the usage you get charged. So 100%. That's like one of the factor I would say that you can think about if you want to drive more success.
Ayush, once I have my registration page, what do I need to do next? How do I take that live and get it out there in the wild?
Yeah, it's a great question, Brian. So let's actually try to understand why you need the registration page, right? and what actually it is in terms of cloud marketplaces. So what happens is, if you think about the fulfillment motion and the buyer journey, so buyer buys on the marketplace. The contract management, the payment, billing, invoicing is happening through these marketplaces, GCP, AWS, Azure. But the software provisioning is happening on your side. So what you need to do is a link between, okay, there is this contract and my SaaS product, and now I have to connect these two in some way. So whenever somebody buys here, I need to know who they are, and I need to provision my software for them based on what they bought, right? Maybe they have bought a different plan, and on my side, I have to make sure that their account is provisioned on that plan. So registration page kind of is a centerpiece where it connects the marketplaces, and all three marketplaces have a concept of a landing page or a registration page, and then your provisioning of the things. And then when you build the registration page, what happens is, each time you have to integrate with the API calls. So let's say for AWS, you have to integrate with their um, entitlement service where there is a resolve customer API call. So you are basically saving a unique identifier on your side for the customer who bought, and then collecting information what is needed to now provision that account. And then once you have that, then you can very easily say that, okay, this is my customer identifier on the marketplace side. Now this is my customer identifier on my side. And I have this plan, like account provision for them based on the entitlement they have bought on the marketplace. So that's the registration page you have to build. And then, so like as Clazar customers, for Clazar customers, we build it for them. They customize it. It's like white labeled, but it's also like, a lot of time when people start, they will provision things manually. So they will receive, let's say, email or a Slack notification, and then as they scale and see more and more things, then they will integrate into like some of the, let's say, webhooks we provide to automatically provision the SaaS accounts, so that the buyer journey is very seamless. So that's how the registration page works, and the use of it.
Ayush, so now my listing is live. How can I see my buyers and manage them and understand what they're doing?
So once the listing is live, then you are in day to day of it, right? You are transacting, like your buyers are purchasing, you have free trial things coming in, you have public offer, you have private offers, you have people buying different plans, you have people upgrading, downgrading, you have people canceling, you have renewals, you have people turned on auto renewal, turned off auto renewal. You may have payments billing like monthly, quarterly, depending on what you have done. So what happens is, you really need to kind of have a place where you see all your buyers, and really understand for each buyer what are all the things happening, right? So it can be, there is a buyer, they bought a new public contract, so you need to understand, okay, this buyer, it says a public pricing, they are paying me monthly, or maybe they bought a yearly plan. You need to understand their journey, how much money has come in, have they not paid, is the payment overdue. So there are a lot of things that you have to like kind of understand about your buyers. Um, and that's kind of and then like renewals, right? You want to understand, hey, after things come in. So what happens in, and you right now you can basically go in different places, and try to gather all that information, um, and try to figure out the revenue for the buyer, if their life cycle history, the purchase order, and what we do is try to make it like super streamlined and easy for you to manage all your buyer and contracts, and we call it buyer 360 and contract management. So that either it's renewal, new contract, free trial, public offer, private offers, different billing schedules, payment terms, all that you can understand about your buyers at one place.